Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandellen. So we're on the fourth commandment today, and the fourth commandment is to keep the Sabbath day holy. Basically, what God's asking us to do is keep one day and set it apart, make it different than the others. And see, as I was studying the Sabbath and I was trying to figure out what exactly is God getting at, I found out that we're not very good at understanding what rest looks like. We're not very good at understanding this. So what we've done is we've created a whole bunch of rules and a whole bunch of laws to basically trick ourselves into taking rest, right? We used to close all of our restaurants or our stores or our businesses on that day because we needed to force ourselves to take a rest. And while doing that, I actually heard a story of a pastor that was in Israel. And over there, he came out of the hotel on Saturday, and he was ready to go to the main floor with his family. And he realized that there was a big line outside of the elevator. So he kind of asked some questions and said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Well, today is the Sabbath." And it dawned on him, he remembered that in Israel, they celebrate the Sabbath on Saturday. And he was thinking, that's okay. And they explained that this is the Sabbath elevator, and it is designed to stop. It's pre-programmed to stop on every floor as it goes up or down, because we would be breaking the Sabbath law to push the button. So he said, "So you're telling me that other elevator isn't broken?" They said, "Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not the Sabbath elevator." So he walked over with his family. He pushes the button, the doors open, and as he walks in, a whole bunch of people flooded into the elevator, like as many people as they could fit. He pushed the number 1 floor, and it went down. And see, it's odd because it's perfectly fine for him to push the button, but they would be breaking Sabbath law if they did. And so I don't want to make fun or make light of how other people celebrate this or try to live this out. But I do, throughout this whole series, we've been trying to look at what is behind. What is God asking of us? What's the reason for giving this commandment? And I don't think it's so that we don't turn a light switch on, or we don't push a button, or we don't use our cars, or any of those things. I think there's way more behind it, what God is asking of us. See, earlier in the book of Exodus, God tries to set an example. The fourth commandment is kind of a bridge commandment. Okay, so the first 3 are God setting the foundation, saying, "I have done these things for you, so you should do this." The fourth one is now, "Please show me that you trust me and start doing this. I want to see it in how you live out your life." And so earlier in Exodus 16, God, he shares with them food. And he says, "Look, 5 days you will get the same amount, just what you need. But on the 6th, I'll give you double so that you can gather what you need for that day and the next, because I want you to take a rest. I want you to keep the Sabbath holy." And so what happened is on the 6th day, he would give more, and people would gather more than they needed. And God got upset with them. And he explained, he intervened and said, "Look, I'm asking for you to trust me." See, we don't do that well. The assumptions of us not being able to take a rest, the reasons behind us not being able to pause, is because we assume that our success is dependent on our hard work. Right? If we pause, if we take a break from work, or we don't do something, then we assume that we're missing out, or that somebody else is going to get ahead of us. God's saying, "Trust me." The Sabbath is about 2 things. It's about trust and it's about rest. God's saying, "Trust me enough to realize that not all of your success is dependent on you. I have something to do with that, and I want you to trust me with that." But the second, the rest piece, to take a break, to keep a day that's separate, that's different, it's intended for us to be able to interact with God. Some of us do that by going for walks. Some of us do that through music. Some of us do that by just sitting still. But in all of those ways, we interact with God, we connect with God, and we have more communication with God, which makes us better people, which makes us live out our lives in a way that points more people to God. But the second thing it does is it shows God trust, and it helps us better trust Him, to know that He has our best interest in mind. So as you consider how you might live out the Sabbath, consider, A, do you trust God? As you gather all of these things and all this stuff in your schedule, and your hands get so full that you don't even know how to set it down and pause, What things do you need to release and let go of and let God take control of? And then how do you best connect with God? And this next coming Sabbath, when you have a moment, it doesn't have to be Sunday. It just has to be a day that you set apart. When you have that moment, what might it look like? How do you connect with God so that you can be better able to trust Him with your life, with all aspects of your life? Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow us each week, click here to subscribe. And if you want to take it a little bit further, click here for discussion materials.